Namaste. Hi, we're the Shaman and the Mermaid, and this is our astrology forecast, starting with the new moon on Wednesday, April 22nd. It's a new moon in Taurus, and we'll cruise you right up until the full moon on May 7th. And we've got a little mantra for you.
And it's pretty simple. It's know what you love. Know what you love. And we'll try to explain why we chose that in the way that we chose that, because there's, starting with two of the big words in that, know, and that's going to be partially to do with the mercurial energy that's very predominant at this time, as is Gemini energy. And then the other big word in there is love. And to me and Michael, we feel that Taurian energy, with the new moons in Taurus, Taurian energy is very much a love sign, because its focus is around values, what we value, and it's ruled by Venus. And Venus is going to be a player in this report as well. But Venus, as we know, is Aphrodite, and she is love. So Mercury is the knowing, and the Taurian energy is the loving. So know what you love. And I think this is going to be an important, well, I guess we're posing a question. It's not really a question. We're posing a statement to you, because we think it's important that we start to really define what it is that is valuable to us, what we love, because that's going to be what unfolds in the near future as things start to go back into some kind of connection with one another. And as we navigate that new normal, it's going to be dependent a lot on that very statement of know what you love. So we'll jump into some of the energy around Mercury. Do you want to explain? Well, I guess back up the truck. Let's go to the new moon, because that has a bunch of energy right there. You want to explain the new moon?
The new moon is predominantly going to be influenced by the energy of Uranus. The new moon and sun are both together in the sky with the planet Uranus, and Uranus is, well, to quote one of our astrologer friends, expect the unexpected. What should I expect? I don't know, but you won't expect it when it comes along. Uranus is all about bringing things that were once hidden into the light. And it's about bringing things, maybe hidden isn't quite the word, but what was in the unconscious, or I like to use the word superconscious, because sometimes unconscious makes us think of not wise. But the unconscious part of ourselves is that part that is in the soul realm, and that we've come here to reveal this lifetime. That's our growth. Uranus is where our growth can happen, where we reveal to ourselves something deeper, more spiritual about ourselves. Another way to say that is know what you love. Find out what's in that Uncle Uranus realm.
He's revelation. His home sign is in Aquarius. And Aquarius is innovation, revelation, revolution, evolution, inventive energy, and all those qualities about Aquarius all can be said about Uranus. So this new moon energy has a lot of revelation to it. And so that's, again, why we want to really emphasize know what you love. So that when these revelations come, you have that stockhold, and you're certain. And knowing what you love at a time when we're navigating uncertainty, we have no idea what's coming. We all think and project and wonder and guess and even estimate what could be coming up, but we don't know. But what we can know is what we love. It's more internal. So new moon is your internal energy, and it's in Taurus, which is about values, love. It's very luscious, it's very sensual, it's very passionate, it's very grounded, it's an earth sign. So it's about getting back to some basic fundamentals, some simpler things in our life. That's what is coming to the surface in this quarantine, is that simpler life is actually something we really love. That we don't have to get the pedicure, and we don't have to make all these other little lunch date appointments all the time, and we don't have to get all these little frivolous things that have become seemingly absolutely necessary. And now in their absence, we're finding out, like, this is what I love, is the less than. Those essentials are not so essential. At least for me, that's what I'm coming up with, is that it's so nice to not have those demands on me, and I really value that spaciousness that comes from it. So spaciousness is something that I'm loving. The time, the freedom to just really explore me. Home, family, which is another Taurian energy. Home. It's your home abode, whether you think of it as your actual house or apartment that you live in, and like nesting and loving on it and getting it all cleaned and prettied and springed up while we have nothing else to do. But it's also the home, the vessel, the body. It's our physical body, taking care of our body. It's the physical form that we came in, the earthly flesh, if you will, of our being. So those are kind of that's the root of the talk, is the sun, the moon, and Uranus in the sign of Taurus. But then we said there's a lot of mercurial energy, and that's what's going to come up next. Go back though to that first day, because a big thing is happening, and that it's squaring Saturn. All those three planets, sun, moon, and Uranus, are going to be squaring Saturn when the moon comes into its newness. And Saturn, you want to talk about Saturn energy?
Saturn is rules and boundaries, and so all of this body, home, what do you love, is going to be challenged by rules and boundaries. And Saturn can, when it's not in right way, represents the old system that doesn't work: oppression, suppression, depression, keeping things under control. And we may feel that as we have this Uranus energy that says, but I love clean water, and I love trees, and I love being with my family. And Saturn says, no, let's try and go back to the old system and get to work and squeeze the life out of you to support Starbucks or whatever it is. I'm being a little bit facetious, but not totally. When we look at, how we sustain our lifestyles, we don't really know what we value until we're put into this grinding halt. And I think this new moon is going to give us another look at that. Like, do we really want to go back to the old way, Saturn, or do we want to innovate and start something new? Saturn has just gone into the new sign of Aquarius, and this is an opportunity. The square can be challenging, but it says we have a challenge before us, but let's do this.
Saturn in Aquarius, remember, if Saturn is the rules and the law and the order, and Aquarius is revelation, revolution, and evolution, it's like the new world order right there. And it's squaring, the sun, the moon, and Uranus is squaring to this new world order. And it's not necessarily saying you can't have it, it's saying, what is it? Know what it is. Define it. Set it into motion. Declare it. State it. Start getting its structures in place. Start founding it with new, foundation. That's very Taurian, to set the foundation for something. It likes that groundwork. So that's the big energy that flavors the next 2 weeks. Then enter the mercurial aspect, or Mercury.
I'm going to summarize everything Mercury's going to do, and then we'll talk about it as a bundled package. Mercury's going to square Pluto. It's going to square the soul realms. It's then going to move into the sign of Taurus, and it's going to reactivate the new moon energy, because it's going to join the sun, it's going to join Uranus, and it's going to make that same square to Saturn, all between April 25th and basically April 30th. So during this time, Mercury's energy is communication, electricity, eloquence, speaking. It has to do with networking, and Katrina mentioned this in take 1 of our report, that it's like the mycelium fungus, mushrooms. They're the greatest network on planet Earth. They were the original internet. Before we started cutting down all the forests and breaking apart the matrix of Mother Earth, many ecologists suspected that most of Earth's terrestrial plane was supported by an underground network of mushrooms that supported the health and well-being of everything.
So that's very much the Mercury energy that's playing out now. It's touching on all these key parts of our existence. So the square to Pluto is going to have a conversation with our soul self. What do we want in this lifetime? So know what you love, in other words. It's asking your soul. Mercury is going to say, hey, what's up? Pluto's saying, hey, what's up, to each other. That's a big one. And Pluto goes retrograde on that particular day. That's kicking off this coming weekend, the 25th. I think this coming weekend is going to be a little bit intense because Mercury governs the nervous system and Uranus is going to be right there with it, conjunct, towards the end of next week, but it's in its field. And Uranus is electricity, and the nervous system is electricity, and there's a lot of frenetic energy in this whole 2-week period playing out, but really intense in this coming weekend. It starts to kick off. Then the Sun and Uranus conjunction is a big one. A year ago to date, almost, on Earth Day 2019, so that would have been April 22nd, we had huge earthquakes. We had flooding and fires. The Earth was just quaking the last time the Sun and Uranus in Taurus were together, and that's coming up this weekend again. So there could be a lot of quaking of the Earth. And if not literally like last year, then metaphorically, where she is shaking us, and that could rattle the nervous system again. So know what you love, because that is going to help ground you at this time. Taurus energy can be very grounding. It's the bull. And so we can use this time to really set our hooves in without it being a stubborn dig, but just grounding ourselves and holding our territory. But it's helpful to go into it knowing otherwise our nervous system could feel really jolted. Then Mercury is going to square Saturn, that same rule maker. Know what your rules are. Set it into motion. What's the new world order looking like? Talk about it. Get it started to be defined. Start in your family. Start in your own life, and then it can move on out into the bigger concentric circles. And then Mercury and Uranus right up next to each other on April 30th. That's cray-cray. That's like electricity on electricity coming down, and it's a half moon, which is helpful because that at least helps bring some balance. Then May 1st, we roll into Beltane, May Day, May Day, May Day.
I don't even know why May Day, that statement has to do with this May Day, but May Day is the half season between spring and summer, and it's when spring is the most spring. It's the height of spring. And it's a Taurus holiday, and Katrina talked about Taurus. Taurus is values and love, and the physical body, and fertility, and abundance, and putting things out. And so this is a celebratory day of celebrating the energies of Mother Earth. And as we're going through this worldwide shutdown and we're seeing Mother Earth return into cities and pollution rates decreasing and potential for new ways to use the economy to support Mother Nature, maybe we celebrate on this day this new way to come into loving the Taurus energy of Mother Earth and our food. Taurus also rules agriculture and how we grow food. And so this is a time where we could vision with that Uncle Uranus energy, with that Mercury energy, and say, what do we want this new vision that we're stepping into to become on Beltane? And I liked your story about the basket as something to do for the
The
neighbor.
May Day basket used to be the old celebratory way of honoring May Day, and you would kind of doorbell, ding dong ditch, and leave a basket of flowers and perhaps some offerings of food in the basket for your neighbors, and just let that be a little gift. And to me, this is such a beautiful time to do that because so many of us can't go to the neighbors. We can't be with each other. We're all in this kind of isolation period, and some people are all alone. We have connection because we have each other, and we have our teenage boys that are here, so we have hugs and we have, you know, touch and we have love, but we don't always have that when we're isolated in an apartment by ourselves. So maybe drop a little basket, a little Mayday basket off at your neighbor's doorstep, ding the bell and run, and let them feel that love that comes from this time of year. You're celebrating the fertility or the abundance of things. Okay, and then we move on. So we have a kind of a big click in the second week of all this that we need to get to, because that's pretty significant, and it's really what I think is the most important part of this whole talk, really.
One underlying click to that big click is Pluto retrograde. We mentioned it, but Pluto goes retrograde on the 25th, and it goes retrograde for almost 5 months. So it's going to carry us into the fall season. And retrograde Pluto is the collective unconscious being turned back in on itself and saying, what in here do we need to look at for 5 months? We'll speak more on that one, but...
And if you think about what's 5 months from now, you know, we're coming up onto the 5 months. It'll be October, and we'll really be approaching some big energy shifts in November. So there's a lot for the collective conscious to be reflecting on, or collective unconscious to be reflecting on right now, to bring to the surface what we think is important. And so the theme again is know what you love, and I would say yes, that's for you, the individual person out there listening to this, but that's also for all of us as a collective. Know what we love, and then let's stand for that. Let's cultivate that. Let's start to bring that forward into the new world order, and we have a really beautiful opportunity to make some great changes and strides moving forward in those months that are coming. The election in November is predominantly what I'm speaking about, but there's a lot of shift and change that's on the horizon, especially as we come out of the coronavirus and re-enter into whatever the new world's going to look like. It's a chance for us to use that mercurial energy, the voice box, the communication piece, and speak to what it is that is in our heart, knowing what we love.
And
okay.
Probably the biggest day of the whole report is May 4th.
Right, it's the big one.
It's the big dog. It's when the moon's nodes shift out of their former alignment, which they've been in since 2017, and they go into their next phase, which is Gemini and Sagittarius.
They were in Cancer and Capricorn for those last 18 months. And North Node is Rahu in Vedic. South Node is Ketu in Vedic, if you're familiar with Rahu and Ketu. Sometimes that's a little bit more common way to refer to the nodes. But these are energies of where we need to move forward, the North Node, and where we need to purify the past, South Node. And so they're shifting from Cancer, which is compassion and sensitivities, and so the node has been telling us, let's look at these things and really enhance our compassion, really enhance our sensitivities towards one another, really get into emotional maturity. And then the South Node has been in Capricorn, which is laws and orders, and it's saying, where could you have purified your laws and your structures, your government systems? Where could you have purified that? That's what it's been asking the last 18 months. Now the clock shifts, and that click moves it into Gemini going forward. And remember, Mercury is home in Gemini, so more of that Mercury energy. And the South Node is shifting into Sagittarius, which is truth-seeking and vision questing. And so the North Node is asking us what?
North Node is saying get the facts, get the information, use science and technology in a way that supports humanity. Use networking and the internet in ways that supports humanity. And Gemini is being curious about your local environment. I think things that can come out of this is, oh, I could garden in my yard. Oh, I could start fixing and building things myself. Oh, I could build a network in my community where we start supporting each other. It's like the way brains and fungus work. It starts small and then the network connects, and next thing you know, it's a whole wide web. And I'm hopeful that this is the time where it's, now that the web has been cracked and broken during this time out or pause, that when we restructure it, we build new neural netways, new community netways, new ways of supporting our planet. And the purification side, Sagittarius, what needs to change, is old truths. What was true? Was that even true, what we used to believe? Or it's reshaking beliefs. That's the other side of Sagittarius. It's what I used to believe, but is that really what I need to believe going forward? Is that helpful? Is that useful? Is that growth and life affirming the old beliefs I had, that we have to constantly grow and make endless amounts of money? Or do I believe that it's more about sustaining and balance and being in harmony with the environment?
So know what you love, and then you'll be able to help bring that forward in the new world order if you know yourself. I think so many of us have thought we've known what we love, or maybe we haven't even really bothered to go deep into our unconscious Uranus self and check that out, and the energy is saying, nope, this is the time, check it out. You've got lots of time, and you have there's a push, because when you know what you want, then you're going to be able to better assert what the collective wants, and you're going to find that what you want is not going to be so far different from what your neighbors want too. And I really have been appreciating seeing, Michael's referencing like these little networks and breaking out, like the different groups that I see in social media that are doing different caregiving things for one another through their little networks, and that just keeps burgeoning out, and people piggybacking off of that and saying, oh, that's a good idea, I'm going to do that over in my neighborhood. And then these little neighborhood pockets are all doing that, sharing ideas, and that's what I see the new world looking like going forward, is just more of the smaller local network communities helping each other and being in cogs of the wheel, all turning together. So keep that flowing, people. That's a good one, and I hope that you are all doing okay out there. I always like to put a shout that if anyone is in any kind of need, to reach out to us at love@karmayogacenter.com, and we will find some way to get help to you in any way, whether it's mental, emotional, or spiritual help, or physical help, and we'll make that happen. I know this is a time for solitude, and that doesn't mean that you're all alone just because you're in your home alone. There's other people out here in the network here for you, and we're two of those.
True.
Right. So I think that will take us up to May 7th, which is the full moon in Scorpio, and that's where we pick you up again. And until then, be safe. This is a good time for just taking care of the nervous system, laying low, not really pushing it too much, keeping everything calm. Take hot, warm baths, warm, hot baths, whatever you can do. I like them hot. And but I know the summer sun's coming out, so maybe a warm bath to soothe you. Listen to soft music, do some pranayama, do some yoga, live streaming at Karma Yoga Center. Take walks, work in your garden, get in touch with the earth, lay on the earth, do some deep belly breathing, connect to your heart, know what you love. Namaste.
Namaste.